So unions are artificially driving up the price of goods and services in the United States, particularly dock workers unions. So the White House recently just handed over basically all negotiations to the dock workers union. And the dock workers unions, which already have made our ports some of the least efficient in the developed world, they are now trying to fight back against automation. So that way the docks can't work 24 hours a day. They don't work nearly as efficiently, which means you get to pay more because somebody has to pay for that. And that person is you. Congratulations. Also that Kamala can pay off her union buddies. According to the Wall Street Journal, at the annual convention of the International Longshoremen's Association last year, 2 large screens played a TikTok video from a crane operator over the docks of Los Angeles. All of this, man, is all automated, he said, pointing toward acres of stacked containers stretching to the Pacific. He marveled at the automated vehicles driving amid the containers. No drivers in any of those machines. They're no joke, man. From the podium, Harold Daggett, the union's pugnacious leader, was having none of it. They say that's the future, he bellowed to the thousands of gathered workers. Over my dead body. Well, I mean, so we're now pushing against, exactly the factors that would make life more affordable for Americans. That's what Kamala Harris has pledged to do. And we know precisely what this governance looks like. It don't look particularly good. And here's the beautiful thing about left-wing governance in America. It gets tried and tried and tried again. And it fails and it fails and it fails again. And they try it again, then it fails again. Basically, it's Portland. The most hilarious story of the day comes courtesy of Politico. It's titled, "This Proud Liberal City is Throwing Out Its Entire Government." Why, what happened? I thought they were doing great. Portland was a wonderful, joyous place. It was a weird city and everything. Well, it turns out everyone hates living there and they're all leaving because bad governance means a bad place to live. Quote, "Few American cities faced as much chaos as Portland over the last 4 years. This proudly liberal city has endured more than 100 days of often violent protests, a fentanyl and homelessness crisis, a pandemic, and decriminalization of all drugs. This November, Portland is undertaking one more chaotic act. In a sign of either hope or desperation, Rose City voters decided to throw out their entire government structure and replace it with a weaker mayor, expanding city council, and ranked choice voting. A major driving factor was the passage of Measure 110 decriminalizing all drugs in 2020. That was backed by 3/4 of Multnomah County's residents. Voters couldn't, or at least didn't, anticipate how this policy change would reshape a city already strapped for money, dealing with a public health crisis, and confronting rising rates of homelessness and fentanyl abuse. Drug use shot up, homelessness worsened, and taxpayers fled. Well, probably, perfect left-wing governance has never been tried. We just need to try more of it. That's the issue. There are now 19 people running for mayor and 98 people seeking seats on the city council. They are all campaigning on left-of-center platforms, but progressives often put blame for the policy failures on unexpected circumstances like the fentanyl crisis and on problems with implementation. Moderate candidates are bemoaning the city's far-left shift and pushing for bigger policy corrections. Well done, everyone. Well done. But this is what left-wing governance looks like, and you get this precisely what you deserve. I don't think the American people are up for this. I think they know that Kamala Harris sympathizes more with the governance of Portland and San Francisco than she does with the governance of, say, states like Florida. That is pretty obvious. But I don't think the American people agree with her agenda. And they don't like her very much personally either. Kamala Harris's latest favorability ratings, she's 3 points underwater with The Economist YouGov. She's 4 points underwater with Yahoo News. Now, these are not amazing numbers. They just aren't. She doesn't have people don't love her in any real sense. Meanwhile, Donald Trump running kind of similar numbers. He's in the same ballpark. It's like -6, -8. Both of them are riding at 47, 48% in the favorability ratings. In other words, she ain't nothing to write home about. And the American people are showing it in the polling data. She's got a real problem on her hands. First, October 7th marked the 1-year anniversary of the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. 1,200 Israelis were murdered. Over 250 were taken hostage. The war in Israel continues to rage on today. Earlier this month, of course, Iran launched a massive barrage of nearly 200 ballistic missiles at the Holy Land. This isn't just another conflict in the Middle East. Israel and its people are facing attacks from enemies on all sides who want to wipe it out. But there is hope. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground, providing food, shelter, and safety to those in need during this crisis. Since the war started, thousands of reservists, everyday Israeli citizens, have left their families to serve their country. Soldiers have been injured. Their families need our support. Your gift of $45 today helps the fellowship provide food and other necessities to these families to help them survive. Here's what I need you to do right now. Go to benforthefellowship.org. That's benforthefellowship.org to make a gift today. In the face of these many threats, the fellowship's ongoing work providing security to Israelis has never been more important. Remember, that's benforthefellowship.org. benforthefellowship.org. God bless and thank you, benforthefellowship.org. Meanwhile, they got another problem because their strategy to tamp down conflict in the Middle East is very unlikely to be successful here. The United States seems to have a strategy of leaking all of Israel's wartime strategies in an attempt to get Israel to stop fighting its war. It's not going to happen. Instead of just saying to Israel's enemies, hey guys, you better come to the table or Israel's going to wreck you, and we're going to help them wreck you by just giving them what they need. Instead of doing that, which is the actual Trump-Vance position, J.D. Vance expressed it at the VP debate, Trump agrees with it. They are both on the same page. Instead of that, you have Kamala Harris and Joe Biden whinging about exactly what Israel is doing. Oh no, it's just so sad. Why won't Israel listen to us? Maybe they won't listen to you because you keep trying to yank their chain. Maybe it's that. The Wall Street Journal has a front page piece today titled, U.S. Frustrated by Israel's Reluctance to Share Iran Retaliation Plans. I wonder why. Could it be that every time Israel shares its plans militarily, you yell about it publicly, you run over to Barak Ravid, your stenographer over at Axios, and then promptly leak it to the public? It's like every 4 days, the Biden administration runs to Barak Ravid to explain what the Israelis are going to do, thereby attempting to thwart Israel's actual military operations. So you wonder why Israel kept it a secret? The only time Israel has had true success in the field is when they are not warning the Americans what they're going to do. The Beeper operation, they didn't warn the Americans. Killing Hassan Nasrallah didn't warn the Americans. Killing Mohammed Daif didn't warn the Americans. Killing Ismail Haniyeh did not warn the Americans. Why? Well, because Joe Biden and team have decided that it is their job to play honest interlocutor between American allies and America's enemies. It's incredible. According to the Wall Street Journal, Israel has so far refused to divulge to the Biden administration details of its plans to retaliate against Tehran, even as the White House is urging its closest Middle East ally not to hit Iran's oil facilities or nuclear sites amid fears of a widening regional war. I mean, what are they afraid of? That Iran's going to start firing on Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or something? If that happens, then the Sunni-Israeli alliance will ride again, and that will be the end of the current Iranian regime. President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke by phone for the first time Wednesday since August 21st. And, of course, they brought in Kamala Harris so they can pretend she has an actual job. Secretary of State Antony Blinken took some time off from playing saxophone in Kyiv to join the call as well. It lasted about 30 minutes. According to the Wall Street Journal, U.S. officials are frustrated. They have been repeatedly caught off guard by Israel's military actions in Gaza and Lebanon and are seeking to head off further escalation. Or, they could just get out of the way and let Israel win. I know, it's so rough. It's such a rough, terrible idea just to let your allies do what they need to do to achieve victory. But that is precisely the view of the Biden administration. Meanwhile, how successful has the Biden administration been? Well, remember that time when they let Afghanistan completely collapse and then unvetted, they let Afghan refugees come into the country? One of those Afghan refugees was an Afghan national who apparently was plotting an ISIS-inspired terror attack on Election Day to target large crowds. According to the FBI, he entered the United States September 9th, 2021, on a special immigrant visa. Days after the disastrous U.S.-Afghan withdrawal, he currently has parole status. The FBI has a photo allegedly from his iPhone, according to Bill Malugin. They say it depicts him describing to his daughter and another child the, quote, rewards a martyr receives in the afterlife. Amazing immigration policy. Amazing foreign policy. Why isn't Kamala winning? They're doing such an amazing job. I cannot even imagine. Again, the only times that America's allies right now are experiencing success is when they ignore everybody that the Biden administration sends for them.